Hello everyone, it's Hajike. Hello everyone, are you all feeling okay? I've always been pretty weak physically, and just the other day, I caught the flu. As a side effect, I lost my hearing, and it's like there's been a constant fog in my head. I ended up with an ear infection and needed my eardrum incised to drain fluid. Plus, took steroids to recover. The doctor told me to eat a balanced diet and to move my body, no matter what it was, so I thought, if I'm going to do it, I want to try some kind of sport. I'd be happy if you could tell me about any clubs you recommend, or ones you were involved in. This might sound like self-promotion again, but honestly, ever since I started drinking Adaptolate, I haven't felt any stress, so I recommend it. Have you ever heard a story like this? A live matchmaking show. A man who confessed to having killed 2 of his wives in the past appeared on the show. This was extremely popular in Turkey. This actually happened on a show called Luck of the Draw. The show was quite groundbreaking as it created couples live on air. On May 8, 2014, the show was as glamorous as ever. Luck of the Draw began, and the person who appeared was Sifa Karinak, a man who claimed to be 62 years old at the time and said it twice. Yes, this was the man who, when asked about his past relationships by the host, confessed to killing 2 of his wives. When the host asked this man about his past relationships, the raw and vivid exchange between the host and Mr. Karinak was recorded, so I will share that with you. Karinak showed up with a shaved head, mustache, and heart-shaped name tag on his chest, looking confident. What happened with your previous wife? Actually, I never officially divorced her. If you never divorced her, she's not your wife. I know what I did was wrong. Well, but a man has to take responsibility. But she betrayed me. She started seeing another guy. She then became a victim of the accident. It couldn't be helped. Huh? What accident? What do you mean by victim of the accident? I killed her? I killed her? Well, but it couldn't be helped. The on-screen caption reads, "At 17, killed his lover." He finished his sentence, left prison, and is now seeking a girlfriend. After being released, what happened? After getting out, he remarried. What is your partner like? I started dating a nurse. But she hadn't divorced her previous husband. She repeatedly asked me for money and just wanted my assets. At this point, the host looked at Karinak with a sympathetic expression, said nothing, and quietly listened to his story. However, Karinak's next words completely changed the situation. I was really having a hard time. So I had no choice but to kill them. Huh? What did you just say? I killed them. You killed again. The truth is, that's enough. What is this? What kind of person do you expect me to introduce to you? The host puts his hand to his cheek, and a moment of silence passes. I have a new girlfriend. The host interrupts Karinak's words sharply, not letting him finish. Just go home. Leave. Please, get out. I can't introduce any women to you. Please go home. Understood. Karinak raised both hands as if to say, all right. With that expression, he leaves the venue. But at this moment, the host remained resolute. The audience erupted in applause at the host's decision. On May 9th, Karinak gave a detailed interview to Turkey's national newspaper, Haberturk. The second wife, driven by jealousy, swung an axe at the first wife and accidentally killed her. Karinak then said he had killed both his wives, and after that, all the women left me. After 14 years in prison, I truly changed at heart. He continued talking, and about himself said, I'm just an honest man looking for a new wife. He insists that women who marry him won't be killed, and there's nothing to worry about. Naturally, the public is terrified that he's confessing his past crimes with a smile. Are his past crimes supposed to be a selling point? People are saying this is too psychopathic. Many opinions are widely agreed upon. And the real horror of this case is that Karinak is talking to his 2 wives, but the first wife he's talking to is actually his cousin, who was 17 at the time. On top of that, his second wife married another man, got divorced, and she wasn't actually his wife. Karinak just assumed she was. That's a possibility. As of now, no further information about Sifa Karinak has been found. I checked social media and even foreign television, but found nothing. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find any trace of him. Maybe he took in a third wife and, well, never mind. By the way, everyone, there's one incident I'd like to talk about in the context of this story. For those of you watching this video, how many of you are married? Or maybe you have a partner you're dating with marriage in mind. Maybe you married your current boyfriend or girlfriend, or maybe you're thinking you'd like to marry them. It's not to scare you, but that love might actually be one-sided. The story I'm about to tell is, of course, a true story. I hope none of you ever get involved in an incident like this. I also hope you never become a victim or a perpetrator. June 2nd, 2018, Oregon, United States of America. He was found collapsed face down in the institute's kitchen. A man was found. It is believed that he was shot from behind by someone, and he was already dead when discovered. The victim, Daniel Brophy, 63, was from Multnomah County, Oregon. Based on the situation, the police determined it was a murder case, and the investigation began soon after, the next day. Daniel's wife, Nancy, who was 67 at the time, expressed her grief on social media by describing Daniel as her best friend and saying, "I'm struggling to understand what just happened." However, in fact, about 7 years before this case, in 2011, she became a well-known figure in the United States. The reason was that she posted a certain article on her blog. How to Murder Your Husband. The Way to Kill Your Husband. At first, the police had no suspicions at all. However, 3 months after the incident, something happened that changed everything. It was discovered that Nancy had spent a large sum of $15,000 on guns and gun parts over the 2 years leading up to Daniel's murder. Once they learned about her, a thorough interrogation and investigation began. During the process, multiple ghost guns were found at Nancy's home, and more were discovered at the scene. 9mm shell casings were seized from Nancy's home. Since the caliber of the ghost gun matched the 9mm, the prosecution decided to indict Nancy. Ultimately, this couldn't serve as evidence. However, it was confirmed that How to Murder Your Husband included content that could be seen as her pre-announcing her crime. Guns, knives, poisons, and methods of killing or murder. Yes, that's right. But if committing a certain murder would set me free, then I absolutely would. I don't want to spend time in prison. That's how I ended up here. On April 4, 2022, the first trial was held, and the prosecutor was my husband. He mentioned that a large amount of insurance money had been taken out on Daniel. The amount was about $1.4 million, which is over 200 million yen, a huge insurance payout. From that, he pointed out that the only person who had a motive to kill her husband was Nancy. In response, Nancy argued that her life was easier when she was living with her husband, and she owned a ghost gun. She claimed that it was part of her research for writing, and then her husband was killed. Her memory of that day is vague. She can't recall the details. She testified that she wasn't there, and that it was just a coincidence that Nancy's car was seen near the cooking school. In fact, in this trial, there was no direct evidence that Nancy was involved in the murder, and the evidence was insufficient. Because of this, it seemed that Nancy had the advantage. About 6 weeks after the first public trial, on May 25, Nancy let her guard down, revealing something that changed everything. She went to his group and to her house. She kept doing this. He acted like a person. That matter was eventually testified to in court. It was solidified by the prosecution as decisive evidence of confession. On June 13, 2022, Nancy, who was 71 years old at the time, was sentenced to the heaviest penalty of life imprisonment for second-degree murder. After that, regarding this case, her two biological sons, Mr. Stillwater, spoke about Nancy as follows. You lied, deceived, stole, and committed fraud. And in the end, you chose to kill the man who was your biggest fan. In your own words, you were the wrong wife. You gained attention with how to murder your husband. You killed your husband just like that and were sentenced to life in prison. And in it, she left these words. What I know about murder is that anyone, if pushed to the edge, has the potential to commit it. That's all for today. Thanks for watching to the end. See you again in the next video. Bye-bye.